Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited to be sharing this beautiful story with a woman who I met probably about 4.5, maybe 5 years ago, whom I am so blessed to say she has become a lovely friend, a very blessed friend. I used to actually look after or support Cinnamon's mum, and that's how we met. So I really just want to leave the floor over to Cinnamon because she has an incredible story to share. She is a solo mum, a solo working mum, so she's a very busy lady, and it's amazing what she fits into her life and her day. So, Sin, I really would love it if you would tell me a little bit about what your life looked like before I introduced you to this opportunity.
Wow. Well, let's just start with it looked a whole lot different from today. To be completely honest, my life was a shambles and I was probably at the lowest I'd ever been. So in the sort of 4 years before I met you, I had gone through a really intensive relationship where there was alcoholism and abuse and all kinds of horrible stuff happening. I'd had my youngest son quite a long way away from sort of any support network or anything like that, and during my pregnancy with him, I'd actually fallen into quite sort of severe depression, and I had started experiencing something I'd never had before, which was anxiety. I didn't actually know what it was in the beginning. But through all of that, you know, I had this lovely child. I had a really horrible time with him as a wee baby. He was really unwell with reflux. I was very stressed out. I was very tired. His father and I split and we decided to move back to Wellington from Waiheke Island. So I spent a lot of money on that. I, at around the same time, had kind of come into an unexpected bit of money from my family. So I had a bit of an inheritance around the time. Once his father and I broke up, we ended up in this horrible family court battle for years, and I kind of reconnected with an old childhood sweetheart, and we decided, wow, it'd be a great idea to get married, and my money just poured into all of those things. The family court battle really took a toll on my relationship with my husband and essentially ended up being the death of it. I ended up having to move back to Wellington after being in Whangarei and Warkworth for a little while. And by the time I kind of landed back in Wellington, I had completely exhausted all of my inheritance, and I was down to absolutely the bones of my ass. Sorry about the words there. But so I ended up a solo mum alone in this beautiful rural setting that had no heating and pretty much no insulation. I was scraping for firewood and food to the point where I'd actually started having to contact food banks in the Salvation Army. Now, I'm a really proud person, which probably isn't always in my favour. And so asking for food was actually a huge step for me. That was not easy. And then I started to open, I'd get these boxes and I'd be so excited and so grateful that I had this amazing food coming. And I'd open these boxes with all this anticipation, only to find out that a lot of the food was often past its use-by date or mouldy, or, the flours and oats and things had weevils in them. And that really kind of pushed me lower more than anything. Instead of lifting me and making me feel supported, it actually just made me feel like I wasn't even worth, edible food. I really was just eating people's scraps. And Then Christmas rolled around and I literally couldn't even buy my kids a pair of socks. So I once again ended up asking the Salvation Army, who are beautiful people and amazing hearts. They're there to help. But the gifts that they gave me for my sons had these labels on them that said 4-year-old boy and 13-year-old boy, and it just felt wrong. When I opened them, I found that they were things that neither of my kids were even interested in remotely. At that point, I really kind of said, family, that I would never let that happen again. And that I, as a mum, I needed to be able to have some kind of security net for my family. So at that point, I'd been watching the lovely Tanya, who, as she mentioned, I've known her for about 4.5, 5 years. When I met her, she was working for my mother, or, with my mother. She was working for a different company, but my mum was one of the clients, and Tanya was definitely not in her best health at that time. She was pretty quiet about it, and I didn't know the extent of her health issues, but after a wee while of quietly watching on Facebook, I noticed she started up with this amazing opportunity and just transformed her health and her life. I'm pretty skeptical, and I sat on the fence and watched her journey for a good year. And then I'd really gotten to kind of the bottom of everything, the bottom of the barrel, I suppose you'd say, when my children took off to their dads, respective fathers, for a week each. And I looked at my bank balance, and I knew how much the product cost and how much the program cost and the opportunity. And I made a really hard decision for me to jump in and become a franchisee, because I knew 100% without a doubt I needed the product. But I also knew 100% without a doubt there was no way I could afford it. Being a solo mum of 2 really growing boys, in the situation I was in, there was just no way I could afford it without becoming, part of the opportunity as well. So I looked at my bank balance, and I made sure that after rent and power, there was just enough for my franchisee and my product. And I rang Tanya and I got her to sign me up. I actually can say it's been just over a year now. I renewed my franchisee a couple of weeks back, and I just would never look back. Not in a million years. It was absolutely the right thing to do. A week of less food was fine. My kids didn't suffer for it, and the benefits that they reap now from me having this opportunity is just phenomenal.
I love that. So tell us about that. What does your life look like now, honey? I'm sure that's everyone's dying to know.
Wow, it's quite different from it was back then. Well, for starters, the house I'm in has great heating and insulation. Now that I can afford it, I have no problem buying my kids socks. They probably have too many, if anything. I have got a job as well now. That's only part-time, but seems to take up a lot of my time. I love the fact that even though, at the time it felt like a really small step, the step I took in jumping into the opportunity was actually one of the biggest steps I could have possibly taken for myself, because it's actually created the safety net. That means that, if I break a leg, or if the government falls over and I don't have a benefit, or whatever, I can't get to work, there is still something coming every month that I can rely on. And little by little that grows as well. It's only little by little because my attention got diverted. I'm sure I could make it a little bit more, what would you call, regular and fast if I was able to manage my time a little bit better, and that's something I definitely work on daily. Another huge part of why my life is so different now has got to be the team and the support and the opportunity in the business. The people that are in this are just phenomenal. Like, I have made so many lifelong friends, and feel so supported. If there's anything that I struggle with, or information I need or I don't have, there is always a plethora of people just literally waiting to help me, and they're all just absolutely unjudgmental and kind, and just the most beautiful people I could imagine sort of getting to interact with on a daily basis. I mean, you're part of it, Tanya, so that kind of says it all for me. The beauty and the heart in this business is just, yeah, it's astounding. I didn't know that there was opportunities like this where these people were real. I had always kind of had this misinterpretation that most of these businesses were kind of a bit fake and didn't have these real people who really cared and who their whole life was just wanting to help people. Being in this has completely changed it for me, and I understand now the heart and the determination of the teams and the people that are all part of this. And I'm so proud to be part of it. And I suppose to call myself one of those people.
We love having you too, honey. And that is something too that I love about it. You know, being a solo mum myself in the past, I can totally relate to what you're saying. I mean, even not being able to afford to get my hair cut, you know, little things like that actually were huge for me at the time, whereas now I tend to take it for granted. And even having the team, it would have made a huge difference for me back then when I was a solo mum. Just you want that, don't you? You're kind of reaching out, you're hungry for it. You just want that support because you don't have that adult connection like you do when you've got a partner in your life, you know. So I totally relate to that, and I know so many people can as well. So love your story, honey, really love it, and so excited to have you with us. You're such a blessing to our team. You know, you're so much loved by everybody as well. It's not just about us loving on you, you know, you love us back. But what I would really love for you to share is, what is it that you're excited about going forward? I know you've got heaps to be excited about.
Wow. What's there not to be excited about going forward? I mean, I'm really excited for my team members that I've taken on and I've been able to support and grow with in this business. I'm really excited to help more people out of that hole that I experienced myself, where you literally think that there is no way up. Now there's a really old sort of saying, which is just reach. You know, when you're at the bottom and you feel like there's nothing out there and there's nothing else, just reach up. Because when you do that, somebody in this world will grab your hand. And I am just so grateful that it was this beautiful team of people. They are international, and one of the things I'm really excited about is actually getting my ass to conference next year, which I missed this year. I'm sorry. But I'm really, the energy and the learning that came back with the people who got to go last year, I had serious FOMO. It's not something I get often. And I absolutely, I can't wait to meet, these beautiful people that I've made friends with over the last year that I've never met in person. I can't wait to meet them. I also, the training and the learning never stops. And it's not all business, it's not all product focused. Most of it actually, truly, to be honest, is internally focused, and how that helps me grow as a person is just exponential. So I always look forward to more of that, definitely, and more contact with this beautiful tribe of people, more helping other people who believe that there's no way out, and other people who think that they can't afford it or whatever, all I got to say is ship your kids out for a week.
I love that you did that too. You seriously did. You were like working out, okay, so I don't have 2 kids for a week, so I don't have to pay this much food and this much, so actually I can do this. I love that.
I literally went to my garden and ate weeds. I ate like mayo, chickweed and plantain for a week.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I had eggs. Like I had chickens at the time, so my little chookies gave me a couple of eggs, and you know, I might have turned up to my sister's and had a few meals, but it was all 100% worth it. And it was really amazing to get myself out of the mindset of I can't afford this, you know, because I was there and I had been there for a really long time. And that's something the trainings definitely give me, is getting through my own fear barriers. And a lot of that was around finances. So what better way to fix them?
Love that. Oh, it's great. Thank you so much for sharing, Sin. It's been great hearing your story today, honey.